Nobody wants to marry the wrong person, and no one wants to be married to the wrong person. With the rise of personality tests, dating sites, and self proclaimed experts, it seems like many people are ready to tell you the exact kind of person that you should or shouldn't be with. Let me explain. On many popular dating sites, it's common to fill out a survey where you lay out your favorite hobbies, interests, tell about your mannerisms, what you like, what you don't like, all of that kind of stuff. And then based on your answers, it matches you with a person that, based on their algorithm, you would be most compatible with. And I'm not saying that those algorithms are wrong. In fact, there are parts of them that are just virtually trying to expedite over the internet what would typically happen when developing a relationship in person. But here's where the issue can come in. It can make people think that there is one perfect person out there for them. Or it can make people focus on the wrong things to measure whether or not they are compatible with someone. And when you're dating, that can be all fine and good. But once you are married and you have more invested into the relationship, or you have kids together, then if you're still trying to measure your compatibility by the more superficial measures, like having the same hobbies or both being clean freaks, then you're actually missing the real focus of what actually makes people compatible and what makes a relationship work. It's nice to have similar hobbies and to have similar personalities, sure, but it can also be nice to be married to someone completely different, for one person to encourage you to try new things and do things different ways. But here's the thing. All relationships end up being hard and having problems. Even if, according to algorithms or personality tests, it says that you are the perfect match. All relationships take work. There's actually 3 things that, according to research, can determine where a relationship is and what the future might hold. Or maybe a better way to put it is this. There are 3 things that can make love last. And isn't that what we're really wondering when we're asking, are we compatible? We're wanting to know, is this relationship going to last? Can we make it work? And it's about much more than whether or not you both like to travel, or if you view finances the same way, or if you both like to eat Chinese food. It's much, much deeper than that. I'm Kimberly Holmes. I'm the CEO at Marriage Helper, and at Marriage Helper, one of the resources that we offer you is we have a free quiz that you can take that will help you understand where your relationship is according to these 3 measurements that I will get into in just a minute. You can find that link in the description below. According to the research of Dr. Sternberg, he and his team identified 3 items that determine love and that are present in lasting relationships. And here's what those 3 things are. The first one is intimacy. The second one is passion. And the third one is commitment. Intimacy is basically this. How open, honest, and transparent can I be with my partner? Do I feel like I can open up to them, talk to them, and be vulnerable? Do I feel like they care? Do I feel like they're listening to me when I'm speaking? A lot of times we think that intimacy is sex, but we all know that we can be sexual with someone and have no intimacy. Intimacy is a relationship. It's not an act. And sex without intimacy just feels empty. And it goes the same with passion. Passion isn't about sex either. It's about more than just sex, although sex can be a part of it. Passion is the craving to be one with someone. Physically, in part, but for a lasting relationship, emotionally. To miss your spouse when they're gone. The want and desire to experience life with them. A few years ago, I was in Paris with a girlfriend of mine, and as we were walking back to our hotel after dinner, one evening, we found ourselves on this bridge that had the perfect view of the Eiffel Tower. And if you've ever been to Paris, you know that there's only 1 hour each night that they turn on the lights on the Eiffel Tower to make them sparkle like diamonds. And this was one of those moments. It was stunning. And Paris, to me, is like a grown-up Disney World. Everything, the architecture, it's just beautiful. And it was one of the most beautiful places. And in that moment, all I could think was, I wish my husband was here with me. But it's not just in the big events like that. It's even in the small things. Like if Rob is gone one evening having a guy's night out and I'm home watching Netflix, watching Friends, and I'm laughing at it. I miss him being there and sharing that moment with him. I miss the oneness of the relationship. And then there's the third one, and that's commitment. Because there's a lot of people who will use you to get what they want, but there are less people who will commit to for better or for worse, till death do us part. Commitment is the willingness to stay, to work things out through the fights and the bad days and the sickness and just the day-to-day stress of life. Dr. Sternberg defines it as the willingness to continue the relationship. There's more research that we teach in our workshops that we do at Marriage Helper, specifically about all of the things that make up commitment. And there's actually 10 things that make up commitment, and only 3 of them have anything to do with wanting to be committed. There are many reasons we stay committed to a relationship, and you want to have as many of those as possible. And I can't go into what all of those are in this video. But if you take our quiz, then the answers that you give based on the questions that we have will tell you more about where you might be in each of these 3 areas and where your relationship might fall. But the bottom line of these 3 things is this. If you have the intimacy, the deep relationship where you are connecting emotionally, if you have the passion, the craving to be one with someone physically and emotionally, and if you have the commitment to stick things out no matter what happens, your relationship will last. You might not be compatible according to the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram or whatever it might be, but that absolutely doesn't mean anything. There was a couple I was talking to a few years ago who said that they went to their pastor about the marriage problems they were having, and their pastor gave them the Myers-Briggs. And then according to the results from the Myers-Briggs, the pastor said, "Oh, you two shouldn't be together. You should go ahead and get divorced." And that's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. A Myers-Briggs, a DISC assessment, an Enneagram, whatever it might be, is not going to tell you whether or not you married the right person or whether or not you should get divorced. It simply tells you what each of you are like, what makes you tick, what your personality is like. I won't go into all of that here, but no matter what your personality styles are, everyone's going to have issues. Everyone's going to have to learn how to speak the other person's language. It's all about having these 3 things: the intimacy, the passion, the commitment. That is what makes marriages and relationships last. All of these other things are just symptoms that people focus on when the real thing to focus on is so much deeper. Now, when you take our free quiz with the link that you can find below, there's only going to be 3 questions. And this isn't as in-depth of a quiz as we could give you. It's only brief questions that are going to give you an oversight of where your relationship might be. And based on the question that it's going to give you for each of these 3 areas is going to tell you where your relationship falls, and it's going to give you some advice and guidance on what you can do to increase the areas that might be low. Because here's the thing, your relationship is not going to be 10 out of 10 in all of these areas every day. The days that are will be amazing, but most days aren't. You will feel less passionate about your spouse after having a huge fight, or you're going to feel less intimate with your spouse if you feel like they aren't listening to anything that you're saying. That's why it's important to measure these items over a long period of time, the average over a few months or a few years, as opposed to yesterday or today or what happened at lunch. Think about it over a longer period of time. And if you take our quiz with that in mind, then the results will share with you which areas you are high in, which areas you may be low in, and here's the key, how you can work to improve those areas. This isn't something that you look at and you say, oh, well, we're low in intimacy or passion or commitment or 2 of those, or maybe even all 3 of those. Therefore, we should just end it. No, not at all. It is simply a measure of where you can start focusing on how to make things better and then do the things that will increase each area. Don't throw the relationship away. Try and fix it first. So what if you're an extrovert and he's an introvert? So what if you like to have things orderly and your spouse is more messy? So what? If you have the intimacy, the passion, and the commitment, or at least are willing to do the things to try and have all those three things, then you can have a great relationship. Even if you feel like there is no love, that all three areas are low, there is still a way to try and see if it can work. Even if you feel like you have done things to try and fix it, have you focused on the right things? We want to help. If you are engaged or married or even separated, then we have tools and resources to help you and your marriage transform, thrive, and be better than ever. Take the quiz below to get started. Or if you're ready to hop into deeper help through one of our workshops, our online courses, or the coaching that we offer, you can give us a call at 866-903-0990. Or you can visit our website at marriagehelper.com for more info. You can fix what seems broken. We can help.